Hey everyone, this is Steve with Collider, and I am here at Sundance in our studio, and I really want to give a huge, and you've heard me say this again and again, but I really want to give a huge thank you to Filmo for being our sponsor this year. I love being able to champion indie cinema, and the only reason we get to be here is because of sponsors like you guys. And normally I give this big speech explaining things, but why don't you actually say what Filmo is about?
Yeah, sure. So Filmo is a decentralized filmmaking ecosystem, and it places the power of Hollywood in the hands of creators and fans. So essentially, we're handing the power to greenlight films into the hands of creators and fans to work together and collaborate. So the audience is a part of the filmmaking process before the film gets made, so it can be more successful.
And obviously, if you look at the sign behind, you can see film.io is the website. Please visit and support. But I really sincerely thank you, because we really wouldn't be here without people like you, you know?
No, we're glad, and you're a great partner because you have a very similar ethos as us, that fans are really important and collaboration. And yeah, we're excited to be here with you.
So jumping into why I get to talk to you, sir, would you like to explain what is sitting on the table and what you have been working on?
Sure. So these are stop motion puppets, actually. So we are just finishing the post right now on a film called Saurus City, and we did it all in stop motion. And so these are some of the actual characters we used that we actually animated with. So you can see various hands of the characters here. We have a couple different mouth expressions. The faces are 3D printed. And then the bodies themselves we make out of silicone and foam and metal. Basically, whatever the puppet calls for is what we need to do in order to get the animation we need.
Awesome.
So one of the things is I have been to many places that have done stop motion, and generally speaking, they are smaller than this when it comes to stop motion. So I'm curious, how did you decide on this size for your puppets?
So the reason we went this way was because there's only so small you can 3D print certain things. And so what we do actually is we have a built-in infrastructure inside with like the eyeballs and the eyelids. All of that is one mechanism for the animator, because we were going for ease of use, because when you're an independent filmmaker, you have to go as fast as possible, right? You're trying to cruise through because you only have so much money that you can use. So there's only so small you can 3D print these little mechanisms. So that's why we had to go with this size, because this was about as small as we could get, unfortunately. So it was basically like I'm animating a toddler every day when I was on set.
So no one actually will know, no one has seen it yet. There's no footage. So how have you been describing the film to friends and family?
Essentially, it's the story is actually an adoption story. I adopted both of my children, and I wanted to create a story that kind of celebrates birth parents who make the choice to place their children for adoption. Now, making that jump to this is, some people think it's a little strange, but what we wanted to do was take this kind of heavy, heartwarming theme and put it into a fun adventure. Pixar's synonymous with doing that. They take these kind of heavy themes, heavy stories, and they plug them into these really fun adventures. So that's what we did too. The story itself is actually, the universe is set in this world with dinosaurs, and these people are actually about the size of a mouse, and they build their villages and cities and structures on the backs of dinosaurs, and they do that for protection. So when you see the film, these guys are actually going to be really small, right? But you can only animate something so small, so we have to build them big, and then using computer technology, green screening, and things like that, we're able to shrink them down to the size that they should be.
I don't know how you got dinosaurs in an indie movie. Richard, would you like to explain this?
I think it's a bit of a fantasy world. where we kind of smashed 11th century England in that sort of time period with Jurassic, the Jurassic world of dinosaurs. And it's actually a magical, it's what drew Lauren and I in when we read it.
Artwork
It was like
is beautiful.
the artwork and just the idea of having people live on the back of dinosaurs is such a fantastic fantasy that they could be merged together and synonymous to like, ooh, they actually live together and they bond. Yeah. So it's a beautiful world. It's beautiful animation. It's a beautiful story. And it's what drew in it. Yeah, there's humor and it's heartfelt and it's warm and it's about family and belonging and redemption and sacrifice and adoption. Just a beautiful, heartwarming story. Kind of like I like to think of it as like Indiana Jones, and it's a nonstop adventure. Once it starts, it's nonstop.
One of the things is I saw your cast list and you put together some really good names. Talk a little bit about your cast, your voice cast, and was it tough to get any of them, or did it work out easy?
Yeah, surprisingly, it actually was easy. So our lead cast, Dennis Quaid, Ron Perlman, Emma Roberts. In fact, this is Ron Perlman's character right here. Emma Roberts and Amy Garcia. Those are missing. Tim Meadows, Julie Ormond.
Yes, so it's like nobody I've heard of.
Right. But I think what it was is, like everyone else that has been a part of the project, you see the artwork, you see the visuals, and you see what's going into it, and then the heart behind the story. And people just resonate with it. It's a story that everyone can relate to. It's a story that the children will love, adults will love. We tried to make it as universal as possible, so it doesn't matter what country you live in, doesn't matter where you are, everyone's going to be able to relate to the story.
I am curious, since we are talking about Filmio, how did Filmio play a role in getting this made? Like, what's the relationship?
Yeah, so actually, the film came on after we had already, wrapped on post and stuff like that. It was more to start building an audience. And so that's something that Filmio does really, really well, is it allows creators to put their work out there and start creating fans before it hits theaters or before it hits streaming. So we actually have a fan base for a successful movie. And so Saurus City was actually put on the platform after hundreds of other films, and it's number 2 on the platform right now with the fan support that it's garnered. And so a lot of fans are really excited to see it already. It's only been on for a few months, and we have like hundreds of thousands of fan tokens staked, which is they act as a vote to greenlight the film. And it has one of the highest Ghost scores, which the Ghost score in Filmio basically acts as a project success fingerprint, right? So it's takes fan engagement and shares and how people are interacting with it, and it gives it this score. And the higher your Ghost score, the higher fan support and engagement that you have to get it greenlit. And Nate's project is the second highest on the platform, so it's really exciting to see this fan support. And I can see why. I mean, it's great cast, great characters. The art, if anybody sees the artwork, it's just so beautiful, and it's a great film.
So for people that are now interested in this, you're obviously indie, but what's your plan for when you might show footage, or you're going to show the movie? Is it one of these things where you're thinking about a festival, or you're thinking about showing it to buyers? Like, what's that game plan for you?
Really, right now it's wrapping up post and then showing it to buyers, right? That's the route we're going. We also really like being partnered up with Filmio. Filmeo. It's okay. The website's film.io. So go to the website, film.io. At some point, I'm going to get that right? Filmeo. But it's so great to partner up with them because they have the ability to create and garner an audience before the movie is even finished, right? So, but the approach definitely is getting a buyer. We wanted to do it completely independently because we wanted to tell the story the way we wanted to tell it.
Creative freedom.
Exactly. Creative freedom, and especially the whole adoption angle, because I wanted it to be relatable to the experience that we went through with our children. So I didn't want to have, a bunch of cooks in the kitchen or anything like that.
Yeah, I try. Like, a lot of people don't really realize that, and I've had this conversation with so many people, but like, if you make a movie for $5 million, you're going to have a lot more creative freedom than if you have $100 million. If you make a movie for $50,000, you're going to have a ton of creative freedom. But you're so right. And for people who might not realize, you are able to tell your story because you guys did it out of the box.
Yeah.
And And is there anything in the film that you're especially proud of that you got to put in it because you know that if it was done in the studio system, like the notes would say no effing way?
I think there's a sequence right in the middle of the film where the main character here, Ron Perlman's character, his name is Slade. And Slade, he's basically the eyes of the audience. He doesn't understand why a birth parent would make this choice, right? He can't understand it. And there's a sequence where he asks one of the main characters, why are you doing this? Why are you giving your child away, right? And I think it's one of those scenes where I don't know that it gets pretty deep into why the decision is made, and I don't know that would have gone through,
Sure.
right? Because it gets pretty deep into the psyche of a birth parent. Right?
I'm gonna say to you, like, you're dealing with themes that most movies don't deal with, let alone stop motion. You know,
Right.
and so I commend you because it really is important that films keep on pushing boundaries and do things that other people aren't doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I say congrats on being able to pull this off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was definitely been a labor of love. I mean, we've worked on it for years and years, just trying to get it to the point where it is, and a lot of people have put everything they can into making it happen. And I think it's because of the themes around the film. I think that's why it's going to be successful.
I think it's going to be my last question for the three of you. But for all three of you, what are you actually most excited for audiences to see when they finally get to see this movie?
You filled that one?
For me personally, I tested a little bit on a friend and her two kids, and they were 9 and 13. And they saw about 20 to 30 minutes. And just of that part that they saw, they said it was so heartfelt. It had such warmth and depth that it actually had a soul to them. It's not like, they say a lot of animation is just created to sort of just entertain with the big eyes, and nothing against it, but they actually felt like they were connected to these characters and they were drawn in by their story. And that moved me to know that we can take a film like this, and whether it be children or adults, you don't have to have kids to see this film. I think everybody's going to go on this journey with us and into this film and feel that they were changed by it, and that they will look at people and adoption and kids. I just met somebody last night that was adopted, and we were talking about the film. She's like, it's amazing. I know my birth parents now. And so I think the idea of adoption has changed, and adopting kids has changed. And I think this film will kind of open everybody's eyes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Does anyone else want to add anything? Or
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it earlier, but I'm really excited for everybody to see the artwork. It's just so cool. And the villages, there's different villages that are built with different themes on the back of dinosaurs. And it's really fun. It's really cool. And yeah, I'm excited. I think
That was
everyone's
actually-
gonna love the artwork.
That was going to be the thing I said.
It's so cool.
Everyone, at the end of the day, it comes down to dinosaurs with the villages, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing that sells it the most. And so, I think that people are just going to be blown away by some of the things we've created. Some of it you can't do in stop motion. You shouldn't do, but we did it, right? We pulled it off.
The sets are
So-
amazing.
It's a blending sort of a new technology, right?
It
It's
really
like stop
is.
motion, CGI, 3D printing. It's something that really hasn't been done before. So the look and feel, people are like, wait, is it CG? Is it stop motion? Is it? And people, even who have seen animation, get a little like, oh, this is really cool. What is that?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing this. I'm curious how you pulled this off. And also, I like supporting indie cinema. Like, this is not some huge budget, Universal or Netflix production. It's, this is, people who are working on this are obviously putting their heart and soul into it. This is like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yes. Yep.
absolutely.
Definitely a passion project.
And for us, it's not just stopping with this one film. We want to create the world of it and continue on their story after this journey as to what happens next with Rhea and Slade and, Sasha. Like, where does their journey, where do their adventures take us?
On that note, I'm just going to say a huge thank you to Filmo for being our Sundance sponsor. Sincerely, I really say thank you. And I really, really say good luck and congrats. And I look forward to helping you promote this when the film has a home.
Sounds
Thank you.
great.
Awesome.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Really appreciate
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah.